Oh, y'all back? All three of you? You guys keep subscribing and you keep watching. I'm telling you, one more step to a million. We on our way. Go. Like, share, subscribe, all the stuff that's going to help me run these numbers up. I don't want to work no more. Go. So I've noticed a trend lately with Jason Statham and his selection of the roles that he takes. Like, they are really trying to force us to believe that this every workaday man who packs a lunchbox and drives a Toyota Corolla or a Buick Sundial. I just made that up. I don't be knowing. But anyway, they want to convince us that this man, who is a beekeeper, a security guard, a mechanic, a transporter, somebody who takes things from one place to the other, can also base jump from the Burj Khalifa through a car's sunroof and then takes control of the vehicle whilst hitting a ramp with an explosion behind him, and can also install conjoined septics. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but it sounded good. Come on, Jason Statham. Go back to playing a spy or something. We're not gonna believe that you a plumber and you gonna stop international terrorism, espionage, and anarchy. Come on now. Go. Who gonna really do the plumbing while you doing that? You saving the world and helping people's clogged pipes? I don't believe so. One of those is gonna have to suffer. It's probably Harry who's got the clogged septic down in Tacoma, Washington, because he dropped a deuce at a Super Bowl party that he can't seem to get rid of. Go. Words I've never said to an actual person. Kiddo, bucko, buddo, bubba, bub, or bubby. I did say bud though. I coach white kids. What you gonna do? Tiger, little lady, hot shot, Romeo. Unless his name was Romeo. But if I was trying to be smart, I never called it anybody Romeo. Junior or Sonny. Never said that to an actual person. Don't you feel better for knowing? Go. This stage of aging parents is kind of whack because, like, there's so many things that you want to know being this age that we are now that our parents just don't have the bandwidth. Some of them don't have the bandwidth to really engage with to the point where you're really grasping concepts. Like, my dad has an interesting backstory. I'll never hear it because he's not in a space where he's recalling things that readily. My mom gets exhausted just having complex thoughts. She would rather have simple conversations. And this stage kind of doesn't make for that to be opportune for me and people in my age group because there's stuff we don't know. There's stuff we want to know. There's stuff we should know that we just don't. And there's nobody we can ask. And we can turn to our siblings for support. And that's really what it's for because support is important during this stage. But sometimes this stage requires answers and there's no answers for us. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no book that says this is how you're supposed to navigate this space. And you're kind of caught between your day-to-day responsibilities as an adult, but then you get pulled into situations as a caregiver or as somebody who has to provide some level of oversight. And you never feel like you're giving adequately on either side. So it's always a tug of war emotionally. None of it ever feels comfortable. Like that's something that this week I could say I came face to face with that in a real way. And it did something to me. I don't want to say like it hardened me, but it definitely made me understand how real certain things are and how decisions can't get made emotionally now. And that's another thing that's really important about this stage. Don't do anything based on emotion because it's always going to be wrong. Everything done in emotion in a moment as it pertains to a person and their livelihood is going to be wrong. Don't do it as much as you want to because you're tending to an aging adult. If it's your parent, you're tending to an aging parent. You see them a certain way. You feel like you can't talk to them a certain way. But right now, that parent is not your parent. That parent is your responsibility. You see what I'm saying? And nobody prepared us to have to boss our parents around, to have to give oversight to our parents, to have to be like, no, you have to do this in order to XYZ. A lot of people aren't comfortable doing that. I just so happen to be, but I don't have those kind of parents that receive that no matter how you place it. So stay strong, the people that's in that sandwich stage. And shout out to the kids that support us because they have to understand we have to be where we're at. We need as much support as we could get. Go. Check this out. I want to start by saying, who am I? I'm broke. I only have 206 subscribers on YouTube. I have below 375 on TikTok. I'm nobody. Nobody knows who I am. My opinion doesn't matter. I don't make enough money for people to care about what I got to say. Cool. Now that we got that out the way, I feel like Nori's kind of irresponsible with his platform. I don't see any growth in him and his interviewing style personally. I don't know if that's the bit or if that's the shtick. I know a lot of people like that content. I personally don't. I like succinct content. I like when things go in order. His interrupting, especially with compelling guests that I want to hear from, who I want to know what their story is, or I want to know what they're talking about in a specific realm. And he just cuts in with something that's nonsense. It doesn't even push the conversation forward. It doesn't even change the dynamic of the conversation. If anything, now you have to address some foolishness and he'll be like, go ahead, go ahead. And I'm like, I don't want to go ahead now. Now I'm mad that you interrupted me. Like, there's no way I would be able to sit there on a promo run knowing that I have to talk about my thing. And he's like, what do you think about this? And then when Quick Time with Slime comes, he's like, Jay-Z and Nas, choose wisely. I'm gonna be like, the people. Because the people really won in that battle. That's what I say. Candidly, it was Nas, but I digress. I just don't think he's very responsible. On too many occasions, we've watched him push people to the brink of inebriation where their aesthetic was tarnished. And he could have just prevented it. Instead, he's just like, hey, full steam ahead. We got to run up the likes, run up the subscribers. And I can say I understand that because I understand that. It's not something that I would do to build my fan base. But again, back to the original disclaimer. But that doesn't stop me from going, I don't believe that's okay. I don't believe he should do it that way. I don't believe that if I had that kind of audience that I would use my voice like that. I'm not saying I'll be super stern. There'll be mad jokes. I love telling jokes, but there's just an interview style where the viewer gets the most out of it. And I don't think he thinks about the viewer. I think he thinks about him being the center of attention when it really should be the guest. And I know he knows that. That's the sad part. You know what I'm saying? Having been a guest on shows and having had guests for mad long, he still feels the need to be that. It ruins the viewer's experience. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself. Maybe not. I don't know. But again, who am I? Go. So let me get this straight. Fat Joe of Digging in the Crates fame, Lord Finesse and Big L's homeboy. You mean to tell me he, Fat Joe, Jadakiss's man from the Boogie Down Bronx, one of Uptown's finest, the discoverer of Remy Ma, can't say nigga, but Logic, nay, Sir Robert Bryson Hall II, whose father is mixed. So his melanin mathematics are already in a binomial equation. Logic, who is from Rockville, Maryland, population of 67,117 according to 2025 census. 67,000 people live in the South Bronx alone. You mean to tell me Logic can say nigga, but Fat Joe, gotta flow Joe, gotta flow Joe, can't say nigga? What are y'all measuring by? Y'all are wildin'. Somebody gotta tell me something. Go. I feel like Stef Curry is to the NBA what Bret Hart is to wrestling. I feel like Stef Curry got the little guy back interested in basketball. That kid who couldn't quite grow to 6'3" or 6'4". That kid who wasn't physically imposing. That kid who was just quick. That kid who had to score his points from the outside in the free throw line. That kid who had to get crafty with the handle because, again, he wasn't physically imposing. He is to the NBA what Bret Hart did for guys who thought that they had to be behemoths to be wrestlers. Bret Hart gave encouragement to the smaller dude that let them believe that they could get into wrestling. I've heard wrestlers say that. Bret Hart changed the scope of what wrestling could be. He made wrestling technical. Though he wasn't the first, he was one of the innovators of it, and he was one of the best at it. He brought it to the forefront, just like Stef Curry brought the perimeter game back to the forefront. And I say back because Reggie Miller had it in the 90s, Larry Bird had it in the 80s, Ray Allen had it in the 2000s. So now, when you look at Stef Curry in the 2010s, taking the game beyond the perimeter to the parking lot, netting it, he did what Bret Hart did for wrestling by making it technical, by bringing it to the main stage, by holding on to a title, albeit he didn't quite hold on to it and have the championship fame that rivals Stef Curry, but he still did for the small man game of wrestling what Stef Curry did for the small man game of basketball. Just my opinion. Go. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things that keep me in the algorithm, curse me out, tell me I'm dumb so we can argue in the comments, and then that keeps it in the algorithms. I know how to strategically do this. I know how to upset y'all. Not yet though. But anyway, yes, sir. Go.